Dr. Tabassum Khan is still a graduate student. He has a doctorate degree, medical doctorate degree from Pakistan, an MBA in finance, and PhD in healthcare management. I have not met a person with great credentials in 3 different fields. Currently, he's working on vaccines. He's consultant to several companies, and he is on the board of many corporations. Dr. Khan, please join us. May I request Dr. Khan to do the same thing, reflect on the theme, and if I missed anything in your introduction, please add that also.
Now, I will just continue from where she stopped, and I would start with the quality, safety, well-being, healthcare, and Sharia. So, the standards of quality are already existing. The standards, His Excellency Al-Maini was talking about ISO. ISO today has something like 19,500 standards. So we as the Muslim world have to move towards at least creating 10 standards on which we agree upon. So it has to be built. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. When we talk of Tayyaba, so Tayyaba is quality. So the quality parameters are already very well defined. We have to add Sharia on top of it and complete the list of what will entail and integrate it into a halal logo on a product. Secondly, we move forward from there. We talk about quality and well-being. What could be certified as halal? We have to classify that also. We can classify it into 3 groups. The groups which must be certified as halal, for example, food. I'm just giving you an example. What could be certified as halal? We can get into biologics, vaccines, pharma, healthcare. And what should not be classified as a halal? If I tomorrow start developing a standard for a halal tie, we are wasting our time. And we make a mockery of ourselves. So that's very important to classify the segments. What must be certified as halal? What could be certified as halal? In the good part, we need to put a lot of effort, a lot of innovation into the research and development coming from the Muslim world. And that's where we lack. If you look at the modern day expenditure on R&D in development, you will see that the Muslim world does not even represent 5 to 10% out of the total research. So if we are going to develop the market, we are going to expand the Islamic economy because all these segments are integral part of the Islamic economy. We have to invest in research, which we at times ignore. And as I said earlier, we should not be wasting time on things which should not be classified as halal. So one brief message is that today we have moved ahead. And in this summit, you have heard a lot about the Islamic economy, how is it developing. But mostly we are talking about the global products for the Islamic world as a part of the economy. And I sincerely hope that next year or the years after, we are all sitting in the room and talking about Islamic products for the global world. And that paradigm shift requires a very detailed thought process. Thank you.
And vaccines. Is there, in the short run, one global standard?
No. It's as simple as that because only very few countries have standards for pharma halal certification. But the chemical entities really are an easier prospect. But when you go into biologics like vaccines, that's where, but now we are trying to work it out because it's very difficult because the centers of excellence do not exist in the Muslim countries. So the first task is to collaborate with people who understand the concept. I would add one thing here. We have to rationalize everything. There is logic in Islam. Islam is a very logical religion. And there's a scientific basis of everything behind it. The only thing is when we ritualize it to an extent that we don't talk logic or we are barred from talking logic, that's where the problem starts. Now, what we started to make it acceptable is, okay, we did a survey in the market for the perception of halal vaccines. You'll be surprised. General public has one perception, medical community has another perception, and religious bodies have a totally different perception. So when these three perceptions are not the same, it's very difficult to standardize it. So we started making it acceptable, because if the religious body tells us that for a halal vaccine, you need to have a standalone facility, it is not commercially viable. You'll be spending something like 500 million on development of a vaccine, then another 200 million for setting up a facility, and just to do for a limited market because it's bought by the donors at a very low price, it is not commercially viable. So no matter how big we talk, it's very difficult to attract the investors to put the money in. So we started analyzing the existing vaccines, and you'll be surprised that about 25% of them already qualify to be halal because there is no animal source in them. Alcohol is anyway not a major issue there. There is no animal source. So in order to make it acceptable there, I was speaking at a forum in the UK, and we said, okay, we can label them as animal source-free vaccines as the initial step and see what is the benefit of it over the vaccines derivated from an animal source. And so that is acceptable to the West also because there's a big shift towards that angle. So once we are able to establish that idea, then we apply the halal standards onto it in the process. But they are already in vials. They cannot mix with each other. They are sealed things. So if you want one factory for every vaccine, it will never happen.
Okay, thank you very much.